Ryan Walsh pulled his cargo hauler into Dock 17, with the same tired precision he had used for the past 5 years. Trade Station Omega-7 sprawled before him like a metal city floating in space, its docking arms reaching out to embrace ships from 100 different worlds. He had made this run dozens of times, hauling supplies to the outer colonies and bringing back rare minerals. Nothing exciting, nothing dangerous, just honest work that paid the bills. The station hummed with activity as thousands of beings moved through its corridors. Tall blue-skinned Centauri discussed trade agreements with squat armored corlings. Insectoid creatures clicked and chirped in languages Ryan had never learned. Gas-breathing entities floated in their environmental suits, conducting business through translation devices. This was normal. This was routine. Ryan gathered his manifest papers and headed toward the security checkpoint. Every trader knew the drill. Biometric scan, cargo inspection, tax assessment, and clearance to enter the main station. The whole process usually took 20 minutes. Maybe 30 if the guards were being thorough. The security gate stood 12 feet tall, made of gleaming metal and embedded with sensors that could detect everything from weapons to diseases. Ryan had walked through hundreds of these gates on dozens of stations. They were built by the consortium, the galaxy's governing body, and they were supposed to be perfect. They could identify any known species, detect any known threat, and process any biological signature in seconds. Ryan placed his right arm on the scanning pad as instructed. The blue light swept over his skin, and he waited for the familiar beep that would let him pass. Instead, the scanner kept running. The light moved back and forth across his arm again and again, growing brighter with each pass. The Centauri guard looked confused. Her large dark eyes narrowed as she tapped commands into her console. "Please remain still," she said in accented standard. "The scanner is experiencing a minor delay," Ryan shrugged. Equipment malfunctioned sometimes. He had seen cargo scanners freeze up, navigation computers crash, and life support systems hiccup. Technology was wonderful until it broke down. He stood patiently and watched other traders move through the adjacent gates without any problems. Minutes passed. The scanner's hum grew louder, almost angry. Other guards approached, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. A crowd of waiting travelers began to form behind Ryan, grumbling about the delay. "What's taking so long?" asked a Corling merchant, his thick armor clanking as he shifted impatiently. The Centauri guard's blue skin had gone pale. She was speaking rapidly into her communication device, using words Ryan didn't recognize. More guards arrived, including a tall insectoid creature whose compound eyes reflected the scanner's light like tiny mirrors. "Sir, we need you to step back from the scanner," the insectoid said, his voice translated through a mechanical speaker. "Do not move away from the checkpoint, but please step back." Ryan frowned. "Is there a problem? I can try the other scanner if this one's broken." "The scanner is not broken," the guard replied. "Please remain where you are." The crowd behind Ryan was growing restless. Traders were checking their chronometers and muttering about missed appointments. A few had pulled out their personal communicators to record whatever was happening. In the age of galactic information networks, anything unusual quickly became entertainment for billions of viewers. The scanner's humming suddenly stopped. The silence felt heavy, oppressive. Even the background noise of the station seemed muted. Every eye in the checkpoint area was focused on the small display screen next to Ryan's arm. The screen flickered. Lines of text scrolled past too quickly to read. Then the display went completely white for several seconds. When it cleared, a single line of text appeared in bold black letters. "Subject has survived direct contact with Apex God." The Centauri guard stumbled backward. The insectoid dropped his datapad, and it shattered on the floor. The crowd of waiting travelers fell silent, and several of them began backing away from Ryan. "What does that mean?" Ryan asked, looking at the display. "What's an Apex God?" No one answered. The guards were speaking rapidly into their communicators, using words like Protocol 7 and immediate containment. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the checkpoint area. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. He had never heard the term Apex God before, but judging by everyone's reaction, it was something significant, something terrifying. The way the guards were looking at him like he was some kind of dangerous animal made him want to run. "Look, there's obviously been some mistake," Ryan said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm just a cargo hauler. I run supplies between the inner worlds and the outer colonies. I've never contacted any gods, Apex or otherwise. A new voice cut through the chaos. Nobody move. This area is now under Consortium security protocols. A woman in the dark uniform of Consortium intelligence approached the checkpoint. She was human, which surprised Ryan. Humans were relatively new to galactic civilization, and they rarely held positions of authority in Consortium operations. Her badge identified her as Agent Park, and her expression was deadly serious. "Mr. Walsh, I need you to come with me," she said. "You're not under arrest, but you are being placed in protective custody for your own safety and the safety of others." Protective custody? Why, what did I supposedly do? Agent Park glanced at the scanner display, and Ryan saw something he didn't expect in her eyes. Fear. "According to this scanner, you have survived direct contact with an entity that most civilizations consider mythological. Apex gods are beings of immense power that exist beyond normal space and time. Contact with them is supposed to be fatal to any biological organism." "But I feel fine," Ryan protested. "I don't remember contacting anyone like that. My last run was completely routine. I delivered medical supplies to Colony 7 and picked up a load of processed metals. Nothing strange happened. Mr. Walsh, these scanners don't make mistakes. They've been testing biological samples for over 1,000 years, and they've never given a false reading. If this scanner says you've had contact with an apex god, then you have." More security personnel arrived, creating a perimeter around the checkpoint. Scientists with portable scanning equipment hurried toward the scene. Ryan could see reporters gathering at the edge of the security zone, their cameras focused on him. Agent Park gestured toward a security door. "We need to get you to a secure location where our scientists can figure out what happened to you. This discovery could change everything we know about human capabilities." As Ryan was escorted away from the checkpoint, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just taken a turn toward something far bigger and more dangerous than hauling cargo between the stars. The scanner's message burned in his memory. Subject has survived direct contact with Apex God. Whatever that meant, it was going to change everything. The medical bay smelled like antiseptic and fear. Ryan sat on an examination table while Dr. Nira, a Centauri scientist with silver markings on her blue skin, ran yet another scanner over his body. This was the 4th examination in 2 days, and Ryan was getting tired of being poked and prodded like a lab specimen. "Remarkable," Dr. Nira muttered, studying her readings. "Your cellular structure shows signs of quantum enhancement. Your DNA has been altered at the most basic level, but the changes are so subtle that primitive scanners would miss them entirely." "What kind of changes?" Ryan asked. Dr. Nira hesitated. "Your body appears to be more resistant to radiation, extreme temperatures, and gravitational stress. Your neural pathways have been optimized for processing information at speeds that should be impossible for human brains. But most interesting of all, you seem to exist partially outside normal space-time." "What does that mean?" "I'm not entirely sure. The readings suggest that part of your consciousness operates on frequencies that transcend three-dimensional reality. It's as if someone rewired you to perceive and interact with dimensions that most beings cannot even detect." The door to the medical bay slid open, and a creature unlike anything Ryan had ever seen entered the room. It stood 8 feet tall on 6 legs, with a chitinous exoskeleton that gleamed like polished black metal. Multiple eyes covered its head, and complex mandibles clicked as it spoke. "I am researcher Prime Click of the Consortium Science Division," the creature announced through a translation device. "I have come to study the human who claims to have survived Apex God contact." "I never claimed anything," Ryan said. "Your scanner made that claim." Click's eyes focused on Ryan with unnerving intensity. "Our scanners are incapable of error. If the biometric reader identified traces of Apex God contact, then such contact occurred. The question is not whether it happened, but how you survived it." Dr. Nira stepped forward. "Researcher Prime, my examination suggests that Mr. Walsh has been fundamentally altered by his encounter. His biology shows enhancements that are beyond our current understanding of genetics." "Interesting." Click clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "In all recorded history, only 17 beings have ever claimed to survive direct contact with apex gods. 16 of them died within hours of making the claim, their bodies unable to contain the energies they had absorbed. The 17th vanished completely, leaving only trace radiation behind." Ryan felt his stomach drop. "And now I'm number 18? Indeed. Which makes you either incredibly dangerous or incredibly valuable. Possibly both." The door opened again, and another human entered the room. Ryan recognized her immediately, even though he hadn't seen her in over 3 years. Vera Stone had been his commanding officer during his brief stint in the Terran Defense Force. She still carried herself like a soldier, her gray hair pulled back in a regulation bun, her uniform crisp and pressed. "Ryan," she said with a slight smile, "you always did have a talent for finding trouble." "Vera, what are you doing here?" "I'm Captain Stone now, commanding the TDF vessel Intrepid. When word spread about a human surviving Apex God contact, the Defense Force asked me to investigate. They thought a familiar face might help." Researcher Prime Click turned his attention to Captain Stone. "What can you tell us about this human's background? Are there any genetic anomalies in his family line that might explain his survival?" "Ryan's completely ordinary," Stone replied. "Good reflexes, decent pilot, terrible at following orders. Nothing that would suggest he could survive contact with a cosmic entity." "Then we must examine his recent activities," Click decided. "His ship's navigation logs show a deviation from his filed flight plan 3 weeks ago. Instead of proceeding directly from Colony 7 to the inner worlds, he made an unscheduled stop in an uncharted system." Ryan frowned. "I don't remember that. My last run was completely routine. Colony 7 to the trade station, no stops." Dr. Nira checked her scanner readings. "Mr. Walsh, your brain shows evidence of memory modification. Someone or something has edited your recollections of the past month." "That's impossible. I remember everything perfectly. I delivered medical supplies, loaded up with processed metals, and headed back to the station. Nothing unusual happened." Captain Stone pulled out a data pad and showed Ryan a star chart. "According to your ship's computer, you spent 47 hours in the Kepler 4471 system. That's an unexplored region with no known colonies or trade routes." "What were you doing there?" Ryan stared at the chart, trying to remember. The system designation meant nothing to him, but something about it felt familiar. Like a word on the tip of his tongue that wouldn't quite form. "I don't know," he said finally. "I honestly don't remember." Click's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of excitement among his species. Memory modification combined with biological enhancement suggests a deliberate intervention. The Apex God did not merely encounter this human by accident. It chose him for a specific purpose. "What kind of purpose?" Stone asked. "That is what we must discover. However, we are not the only ones interested in this case. The hegemony has sent representatives to study the human as well." Dr. Nira's skin went pale at the mention of the hegemony. "They're coming here?" "Who's the hegemony?" Ryan asked. Captain Stone's expression darkened. "The hegemony is an alliance of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. They've been around for millions of years, and they consider themselves the guardians of cosmic order. If they're interested in your case, it means they see you as either a valuable asset or a significant threat." "Probably both," Click added. "The hegemony has been searching for Apex gods for eons. They believe these entities represent a danger to stable reality. If they think you have information about Apex god locations or capabilities, they will extract that information by any means necessary." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. What if I agree to go back to that system? Maybe being there will help me remember what happened. "Absolutely not," Stone said immediately. "It's too dangerous. We don't know what's waiting out there. But it might be the only way to understand what happened to me. And if these hegemony people are coming, wouldn't it be better to have answers before they arrive?" Dr. Nira consulted her scanner readings again. "Mr. Walsh, there is something else. Your enhanced neural pathways are showing increased activity. It's as if proximity to others who know about your encounter is triggering dormant memories." "What kind of memories?" "I'm detecting flashes of images, emotions, and sensations that don't match your conscious recollections. Your subconscious mind remembers what happened, even if your conscious mind has been blocked." Click moved closer to Ryan, his multiple eyes studying every detail of the human's face. The biological modifications, the memory suppression, the enhanced neural activity, these are all signs of careful preparation. The Apex God didn't just encounter you randomly. It selected you for a specific role. "What role?" "I believe you are intended to serve as a bridge between our reality and theirs. A translator of sorts, capable of communicating concepts that would destroy normal minds. But to fulfill that role, you must remember what happened during your missing 47 hours. Captain Stone shook her head. "Even if that's true, the risk is too great. If something went wrong in that system once, it could go wrong again." Ryan stood up from the examination table. "Vera, I've spent the last 2 days being scanned, tested, and questioned. Everyone keeps telling me I'm different, enhanced, dangerous. But I don't feel any different. I feel like the same guy who hauls cargo for a living. Maybe the only way to understand what I've become is to go back to where it happened. Dr. Nira looked thoughtful. If we could monitor him carefully, use advanced scanning equipment to track any changes in his condition. The hegemony fleet will arrive within 72 hours. Click interrupted. If we are going to attempt this expedition, we must leave immediately. Stone sighed, recognizing the stubborn expression on Ryan's face. I know that look. You've already made up your mind, haven't you? I have to know what happened to me. I have to understand why that scanner said I survived contact with an apex god. Maybe I'll find answers. Maybe I won't. But sitting here waiting for ancient aliens to interrogate me isn't going to solve anything. Very well, Click decided. We will prepare an expedition to the Kepler 4471 system. But we go fully equipped for any possibility, including the chance that we might encounter an apex god ourselves. As the scientists and soldiers began making preparations for the journey, Ryan felt a strange sensation in the back of his mind. It was like hearing a distant voice calling his name, or seeing movement in his peripheral vision that vanished when he turned to look. Something was stirring in his modified consciousness, and it was eager to return to the place where everything had changed. Space looked wrong around the Kepler 4471 system. Ryan pressed his face against the observation window of the research vessel Darwin and tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The stars didn't twinkle the way they should. Instead, they seemed to pulse with colors that had no names, shifting through spectrums that made his eyes water. Gravitational readings are inconsistent with known physics, announced Dr. Webb, the human physicist who had joined their expedition. The primary star appears to have the mass of a red dwarf, but it's generating energy like a blue giant. The planets are orbiting in patterns that should be impossible. Captain Stone stood beside Ryan at the observation window. Your memory's starting to come back yet? Ryan shook his head, but that wasn't entirely true. He was experiencing flashes of something, like fragments of dreams that dissolved the moment he tried to focus on them. Images of swirling light, the sound of something vast breathing, a sense of presence so overwhelming it made him dizzy. There, Dr. Nira pointed toward the system's fourth planet. That world registers on our sensors, but the readings keep changing. Sometimes it appears to be a frozen rock, sometimes a gas giant, sometimes something that doesn't match any planetary classification. Researcher Prime Click studied the sensor displays with growing excitement. The planet exists in a state of quantum flux. It's simultaneously occupying multiple possible realities. This level of dimensional instability requires technology, far beyond anything the consortium has developed. Or it requires the presence of an apex god, added Dr. Webb grimly as the Darwin approached the impossible planet. Ryan felt something stirring deep in his modified brain. The sensation was like remembering a song he'd heard in childhood, familiar yet distant. Without thinking, he placed his hand on the navigation console. Adjust course by 3 degrees starboard, he said. There's a safe approach vector through the gravitational anomalies. Captain Stone frowned. How do you know that? Ryan blinked, surprised by his own words. I'm not sure. It just feels right. Dr. Nira's scanner detected elevated neural activity in Ryan's brain. His enhanced pathways are responding to proximity to the planet. The memories are trying to surface. Follow his guidance, Click decided. His modifications may be attuned to the dimensional frequencies of this place. As the Darwin navigated through space that seemed to bend and twist around them, Ryan's fragmented memories began to coalesce. He remembered being here before, his cargo hauler drifting helplessly as strange energies played across his ship's hull. He remembered receiving a distress signal that shouldn't have been possible, a call for help that came from everywhere and nowhere at once. There's a structure on the planet's surface, Dr. Webb reported. It's massive, easily the size of a small city, but the architectural style doesn't match any known civilization. Through the observation window, Ryan could see the structure taking shape as they descended through the planet's atmosphere. It was built from what appeared to be crystallized light, walls and towers that seemed solid but transmitted images from other times and places. The entire complex pulsed with gentle rhythms like a vast heart beating in slow motion. I've been here before, Ryan said softly. 3 weeks ago I landed my hauler in that clearing near the central spire. There was a signal, Some kind of emergency beacon. I thought someone needed help. What did you find? Stone asked. Ryan's memories were flooding back now, triggered by the sight of the impossible city. The beacon led me into the structure. The walls showed me things, scenes from across the galaxy, civilizations rising and falling, species evolving and transcending, patterns of growth that spanned millions of years. And then what? I met the gardener. Dr. Nira's eyes widened. The gardener? That's what it called itself. It wasn't really a being in any sense I could understand, more like a force of nature with consciousness or a thought that had learned to think. It existed in dimensions I couldn't perceive directly, but somehow I could sense its presence. The Darwin touched down on the planet's surface with barely a whisper. Through the windows they could see the crystalline city shimmering in the light of the strange sun. Geometric patterns flowed across its walls like living equations. The gardener told me about its work, Ryan continued, his memories now crystal clear. It has been cultivating younger species across the galaxy for eons, guiding their development, preparing them for something it called the Great Convergence. What kind of preparation? Click asked. It selects individuals from promising species and enhances them, creates bridges between dimensions so that when the time comes, the younger races won't be destroyed by transcendence. They'll be ready to evolve. Dr. Webb checked his readings nervously. Ryan, are you saying that you were chosen as humanity's representative? That this apex god picked you to speak for our entire species? Not exactly. The gardener said humans were different from other species it had encountered. Most civilizations fear transcendence because they think it means losing their identity. But humans have something it called adaptive stubbornness. We change and grow, but we never stop being fundamentally human. Captain Stone was studying the city through a pair of binoculars. Is the gardener still here? I don't know. When our encounter ended, it told me that I would be called back when the time was right. It said that humanity's role in the Great Convergence was just beginning. And then it erased your memories? Not erased, protected. The knowledge I gained was too much for my unmodified brain to contain. The gardener locked it away until I was ready to handle it. Dr. Nira's scanner detected massive energy readings from the crystalline city. Something is responding to our presence. The structure is coming alive. Through the observation windows they could see lights beginning to pulse throughout the city. The geometric patterns on the walls were moving faster now, forming complex equations that seemed to describe the fundamental nature of reality itself. We should go inside, Ryan said. The answers we need are in the central spire. Absolutely not, Stone replied firmly. We don't know what's waiting in there. For all we know, this gardener entity is still present and looking for more test subjects. Vera, I survived contact with it once. My modifications should protect me from any harmful effects. Should protect you. That's not the same as will protect you. Click's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. The human may be correct. His neural enhancements are designed to interface with Apex God technology. If we are to understand the true nature of his encounter, we must examine the source. Dr. Webb was monitoring long-range sensors when alarms began sounding throughout the ship. We've got company. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Captain Stone grabbed a communication device. Darwin to unknown vessels, please identify yourselves. The response came in a voice that sounded like grinding stone.
This is Hegemony Battleship Eternal Vigil. By order of the Elder Council, this system is now under quarantine.
All unauthorized personnel will withdraw immediately or face consequences. How did they find us so quickly? Dr. Nira asked. The Hegemony has been monitoring hyperspace traffic for signs of Apex God activity, Click explained. Our jump to this system must have triggered their alert systems. Stone opened a communication channel. Eternal Vigil. This is Captain Stone of the Terran Defense Force vessel Darwin. We are conducting authorized scientific research under consortium protocols. Your authorization is meaningless here, human. This system contains entities that pose a threat to galactic stability. You have 1 hour to evacuate before we begin sterilization procedures. Ryan felt a chill run through him. Sterilization procedures? They're going to destroy the planet? The Hegemony has been at war with Apex Gods for millions of years, Click explained. They believe these entities corrupt reality itself. Any world that shows signs of Apex God influence is considered too dangerous to exist. Through the observation windows, the crystalline city continued to pulse with increasing intensity. The patterns on its walls were becoming more complex, as if the structure was preparing for something momentous. I have to get inside that city, Ryan said urgently. Whatever the gardener was preparing me for, I think it's about to happen. If the hegemony destroys this place, we'll lose our only chance to understand humanity's role in cosmic evolution. Captain Stone looked torn between her duty to protect Ryan and her recognition that he might be right. If we go in there and something happens to you, the hegemony will blame humans for contaminating galactic civilization. And if we don't go in there, they'll destroy everything anyway. At least this way, we might learn something that could help our species survive what's coming. Dr. Neera checked her scanner readings one more time. Mr. Walsh, your neural activity is off the charts. Your modified brain is resonating with energy patterns from the city. I think the structure is calling to you. Ryan looked out at the impossible city one more time, its crystalline spires reaching toward stars that defied conventional physics. Somewhere in that maze of light and mathematics, answers were waiting. Answers about his transformation, about humanity's destiny, and about the cosmic forces that were reshaping the galaxy. Vera, I have to do this. It's what I was prepared for. Stone sighed, recognizing the stubborn determination in Ryan's voice. It was the same tone he'd used during their military service whenever he decided to attempt something dangerous and probably stupid. All right, but we do this fast and we do it together. 1 hour before the hegemony starts shooting. That gives us enough time to get in, find your answers, and get out before this place becomes a crater. As they prepared to enter the crystalline city, Ryan felt the presence stirring in the back of his mind again. The gardener was waiting for him, and with it the knowledge that would either save humanity or damn them all. Inside the crystalline city, reality moved like liquid. Ryan led the team through corridors where the walls showed glimpses of distant galaxies, while the floor beneath their feet displayed mathematical equations that described the birth and death of stars. Every surface pulsed with gentle light, as if the entire structure was breathing. The air composition is perfectly suited for human respiration, Dr. Webb reported, studying his portable scanner. The atmospheric pressure, temperature, and humidity are all optimal. It's as if this place was designed specifically for us. Not for us, Ryan corrected, his recovered memories guiding him toward the central spire. For me. The gardener knew I would return. Dr. Neera's blue skin reflected the shifting lights as she examined the walls. These patterns contain information at the quantum level. The entire structure is essentially a massive computer, processing data about galactic civilization and cosmic evolution. They reached the base of the central spire, a tower that stretched impossibly high above them. Its crystalline walls showed scenes of various species across the galaxy, some familiar, others completely alien. Ryan recognized Centauri, Corlings, and dozens of other consortium races. But there were also beings that looked far older and more advanced, creatures of pure energy that moved between dimensions. There, Ryan pointed to a section of wall that showed images of humans. That's where it happened. The wall displayed scenes of Earth's history, from the earliest humans discovering fire to the first colonies spreading across nearby star systems. But there were gaps in the timeline, moments where human development seemed to accelerate beyond natural evolution. The gardener has been influencing human development for thousands of years, Ryan explained. Subtle guidance, small pushes at critical moments. It helped us develop faster than light travel, assisted our first contact protocols with alien species, even influenced our philosophical development to make us more adaptable to cosmic realities. Captain Stone studied the images with growing concern. You're saying that human civilization didn't develop naturally? That we've been manipulated by this apex god? Not manipulated, cultivated. The gardener doesn't force change. It simply provides opportunities for species to grow in directions they might not have discovered on their own. Researcher Prime clicked his mandibles excitedly. Show us the actual moment of contact. We need to understand exactly what happened to you. Ryan placed his hand on the wall and immediately the crystalline surface blazed with light. The images shifted, showing his cargo hauler 3 weeks earlier, drifting through the same space where the Darwin now orbited. The recorded Ryan looked confused as his ship's communication system picked up the impossible distress signal. In the present, Ryan narrated what his past self was experiencing. I followed the signal to this planet, thinking someone needed help. My ship's scanners couldn't make sense of the readings, but I could see the city clearly. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The wall showed past Ryan landing his hauler and walking into the crystalline structure. His movements were cautious but determined, driven by the human instinct to help others in distress. I reached this chamber and called out, asking if anyone needed assistance. That's when the gardener responded. The images on the wall suddenly expanded, no longer showing just visual scenes but somehow conveying sensations and emotions. The team could feel what Ryan had felt, the overwhelming presence of something vast and ancient focusing its attention on a single human being. The gardener didn't have a physical form. Instead, it was a convergence of consciousness and energy, a being that existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously. When it spoke, the words weren't heard but understood directly by Ryan's mind. "I am the gardener," the presence had communicated. "I have been waiting for one of your kind to reach this place. Your species shows great promise, but you face trials that will test your survival." Past Ryan had responded with typical human directness. "Are you the one who sent the distress signal? Do you need help?" The gardener's amusement had been palpable. "Your first thought upon encountering a cosmic entity is to offer assistance. This confirms what I have observed about human nature. You are the first species I have encountered that instinctively seeks to help, rather than worship or flee." "What kind of trials are you talking about?" "The galaxy is approaching what I call the Great Convergence. Younger civilizations will soon encounter forces that will either elevate them to higher forms of existence, or destroy them entirely. Most species fear this transformation because they believe transcendence means death. But humans have a unique quality that gives you an advantage." "What quality?" "Adaptive stubbornness. You change when you must, but you never lose your essential nature. Other species either resist change completely or lose themselves in transformation. Humans find ways to grow while remaining fundamentally human." The wall showed the gardener beginning the process of modifying Ryan's biology. Energy flowed through him, rewriting his DNA and enhancing his neural pathways. But unlike other species who had undergone similar modifications, Ryan remained conscious throughout the process. "This enhancement will allow you to serve as a bridge between dimensions," the gardener had explained. "When the Great Convergence begins, your species will need guides who can help them navigate transcendence without losing their humanity. How many others like me are there?" "You are the first human to survive the modification process. Other species have produced successful bridges, but they numbered only 1 in millions. Humans appear to have a much higher compatibility rate with dimensional enhancement." Past Ryan had asked the question that was troubling present Ryan as well. "Why me specifically? I'm not special. I'm just a cargo hauler. That ordinariness is precisely why you were chosen. You represent average human qualities: curiosity, helpfulness, stubbornness, and adaptability. If you can survive transcendence while maintaining your essential humanity, then your species as a whole has the potential to do the same." The modification process had taken hours, during which the gardener had shared vast amounts of information about galactic history, the nature of apex gods, and the coming challenges that younger civilizations would face. "The hegemony fears us because they believe we corrupt reality," the gardener had explained. "But we are gardeners, not conquerors. We cultivate potential, encourage growth, and prepare species for evolution. The elder races resist this because they fear losing their established order. What happens if they succeed in destroying you? Then younger civilizations will face the Great Convergence unprepared. They will either be destroyed by forces they cannot understand, or transformed into something unrecognizable. Only through guidance can species transcend while maintaining their essential nature." The wall showed the conclusion of Ryan's first encounter with the gardener. The entity had sealed most of the memories to protect Ryan's unmodified brain from information overload, then sent him back to his ship with no conscious memory of what had transpired. "You will be called back when the time is right," the gardener had promised, "and when you return you will be ready to help your species take its next evolutionary step." The images on the wall faded, leaving the team standing in stunned silence. Dr. Nira was the first to speak. "Mr. Walsh, according to these records, you've been selected as humanity's first ambassador to higher dimensional beings. The biological modifications you received aren't just enhancements, they're preparation for a role that could determine our species' survival." Captain Stone looked troubled. "Ryan, this gardener essentially turned you into an experiment. How do we know its intentions are benevolent? How do we know this isn't some form of cosmic manipulation?" Because I can feel its purpose, Ryan replied. The modifications didn't just change my biology, they gave me a sense of the gardener's true nature. It genuinely wants to help younger species survive what's coming. Dr. Webb was studying his scanner readings with growing alarm. The hegemony fleet is moving into attack position. We have maybe 20 minutes before they start bombardment. Researcher Prime Click's multiple eyes focused on Ryan intently. Human, can you contact the gardener now? Can you communicate with it directly? Ryan approached the central wall and placed both hands on its surface. Immediately, the crystalline structure around them began to pulse with increased intensity. The mathematical equations flowing across the walls became more complex, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with energy. Gardener, Ryan called out mentally, the hegemony is coming. They want to destroy this place. The response came not as words, but as a flood of understanding that filled Ryan's enhanced consciousness. The gardener was indeed still present, not just in this city, but woven into the fabric of reality throughout the star system. It had been waiting for Ryan's return, preparing for the confrontation that was about to unfold. The hegemony believes destruction is the only solution to cosmic change, the gardener communicated. They have fought this war for millions of years, never understanding that resistance to evolution only delays the inevitable. But perhaps through you a different path can be found. What kind of path? Communication, understanding. The elder races fear us because they cannot comprehend our nature. But you can serve as a translator, helping them see that transcendence and preservation are not mutually exclusive. Ryan felt power flowing through him, not destructive energy, but something far more profound. His consciousness expanded, allowing him to perceive the hegemony fleet as it prepared to attack. He could sense the fear and determination of the alien crews, their absolute certainty that they were protecting the galaxy from a cosmic threat. I can feel them, Ryan said aloud to his companions. The hegemony soldiers. They're not evil, just terrified. They've seen what happens when apex gods influence reality, and they think destruction is the only way to prevent cosmic chaos. Can you communicate with them? Dr. Nira asked. The gardener thinks I might be able to, but it would require using abilities I've never tested before. I could end up burning out my enhanced neural pathways. Captain Stone grabbed Ryan's arm. Don't even think about it. We're getting out of here before those ships open fire. Vera, if I don't try, then thousands of years of the gardener's work will be destroyed. Every species it has helped cultivate, every potential bridge it has created, all of it will be lost. And if you try and fail, humanity loses its only chance at cosmic evolution, Click pointed out. The risk may be too great. Ryan looked around at his companions, then back at the wall showing images of human civilization. Ordinary people living ordinary lives, unaware that their species stood at a crossroads that would determine their cosmic future. The gardener chose me because I represent average human qualities. That includes the stubborn refusal to give up when people need help. Those hegemony soldiers need help even if they don't realize it. They're trapped in a war they don't understand, fighting an enemy they've never really tried to communicate with. The crystalline city began to resonate with harmonics that seemed to reach beyond normal space-time. Through the walls, they could see energy building throughout the structure, not for attack but for something else entirely. The gardener is preparing to make direct contact with the hegemony fleet, Ryan announced. It wants me to serve as an interpreter, to help both sides understand each other's perspective. Ryan, you don't know if your modifications can handle that kind of power, Dr. Webb warned. Direct communication between an apex god and an entire fleet could overwhelm your neural pathways. Then, we'd better hope that human stubbornness is as strong as the gardener thinks it is, Ryan pressed, his palms flat against the central wall, and opened his mind to the vast consciousness of the gardener. Power flowed through him, not painful but overwhelming in its scope. He could suddenly perceive the entire star system, feel the presence of every living being within it, and sense the complex web of relationships that connected all conscious entities. Through his enhanced awareness, Ryan reached out toward the hegemony fleet. The alien minds he encountered were ancient and powerful, shaped by millions of years of cosmic responsibility. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, watched entire species transform beyond recognition, and bore the weight of protecting galactic stability. This is Ryan Walsh speaking for the entity you call an apex god, he transmitted across space, his message carried by forces that transcended normal communication. We need to talk. The response came from the Hegemony flagship, a voice like grinding mountains. Human, you have been contaminated by cosmic forces beyond your understanding. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences of your association with reality-corrupting entities. I understand your fear, Ryan replied, drawing on the gardener's vast knowledge. Your species encountered apex gods during your early development and nearly lost your civilization to uncontrolled transcendence. But that was because communication was impossible then. Now, through enhanced beings like myself, true dialogue can occur. There was a long pause before the Hegemony commander responded. You claim the ability to communicate with entities that exist beyond normal space-time? I claim the ability to serve as a bridge between different forms of consciousness. The gardener doesn't want to destroy or transform your civilization. It wants to help all species navigate cosmic evolution while maintaining their essential nature. Impossible. Apex God contact inevitably leads to reality corruption and civilizational collapse. Not if the contact is mediated by beings who can translate between dimensional frequencies. That's what humans are being prepared for. We're not meant to replace you or any other species. We're meant to help everyone survive what's coming. Ryan felt the gardener's consciousness merge more fully with his own, allowing him to share not just words but actual understanding. Through the cosmic link, he transmitted images and concepts directly to the Hegemony fleet, showing them the true nature of the Great Convergence and the role that bridge species were meant to play. For the first time in millions of years, the Hegemony faced a choice other than destruction or submission. They could choose understanding. The silence stretched across space like a held breath. Ryan maintained his connection with both the gardener and the Hegemony fleet, feeling the weight of millions of years of fear and misunderstanding pressing against his consciousness. Through his enhanced awareness, he could sense the debate raging within the Hegemony command structure. Finally, a new voice emerged from the flagship, older and more powerful than the first. I am Elder Thoth of the Crystal Dominion, speaker for the Hegemony Council. Your offer of communication is noted, but history teaches us that such contact leads only to corruption and chaos. Ryan drew on the gardener's vast memory, accessing records of previous encounters between apex gods and elder civilizations. Elder Thoth, I can see your history. The disaster that befell your people 12 million years ago when your predecessors attempted direct contact with what you called the Shining Ones. Your civilization was nearly destroyed when reality became unstable around your homeworld. You see the truth then. Apex gods are not benevolent gardeners. They are cosmic parasites that feed on ordered reality, leaving chaos in their wake. No, Ryan replied firmly. The Shining Ones weren't trying to destroy your civilization. They were attempting to help your species transcend to a higher form of existence. But without proper translation, the process became catastrophic. Your people couldn't process the dimensional frequencies required for controlled transcendence. Through the cosmic link, Ryan shared the gardener's perspective on that ancient disaster. The apex god had genuinely tried to help the Crystal Dominion evolve, but the lack of bridge beings had made successful communication impossible. The resulting reality storm had indeed devastated their homeworld, but not through malice or parasitism. The tragedy of your people could have been prevented if bridge species had existed then, Ryan continued. That's why the gardener has spent eons cultivating beings who can safely translate between dimensional frequencies. Humans are the first species to show high compatibility with these modifications. Elder Thoth's response carried the weight of eons of grief and responsibility. Even if your interpretation is correct, the risk remains too great. The great convergence you speak of threatens all stable reality. Better to prevent it entirely than risk another cosmic catastrophe. You can't prevent cosmic evolution, Ryan said, feeling the truth of it resonate through his enhanced consciousness. The universe itself is changing, entering a new phase of development. Species that resist this change will be left behind, while those that adapt will transcend to new forms of existence. The transmission from the Hegemony flagship suddenly cut off, replaced by targeting scans that swept across the crystalline city. Ryan felt the weapon systems of the entire fleet powering up, preparing for bombardment that would sterilize the planet. They're going to attack, Captain Stone said urgently. Ryan, whatever you're going to do, do it now. Ryan reached deeper into his connection with the gardener, accessing abilities he hadn't known he possessed. The crystalline city around them began to resonate with harmonics that transcended normal spacetime. Reality became fluid, responsive to conscious intent rather than physical law. "I won't let them destroy this place," Ryan declared. "Too much knowledge will be lost. Too many potential bridges will never have the chance to develop." Dr. Nira's scanner detected massive energy buildups throughout the city. "Mr. Walsh, the power levels you're channeling are beyond anything our instruments can measure. You're risking neural burnout or worse. Better to risk everything than guarantee failure through inaction." Ryan extended his consciousness beyond the planet, using the Gardener's power to interact directly with the hegemony fleet. Instead of communicating through transmissions, he began to manipulate the space around their ships, creating gravitational effects that made their weapons ineffective. The first barrage of energy beams struck an impossible barrier of twisted spacetime. Their destructive force redirected harmlessly into other dimensions. The hegemony ships found their targeting systems confused by spatial distortions that made the planet appear to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. "This is exactly what we feared," Elder Thoth transmitted angrily. Reality corruption spreading beyond the source. "Human, you are proving our point about the danger these entities represent." "I'm proving that bridge beings can control cosmic forces safely," Ryan replied, his voice now carrying harmonics that resonated across dimensional frequencies. "Watch and learn." Instead of using the Gardener's power destructively, Ryan began to demonstrate its true purpose. He reached out to the hegemony fleet and gently enhanced their communication systems, allowing for direct mind-to-mind contact that transcended language barriers. For the first time, the elder races could perceive apex god consciousness without the filter of fear or misunderstanding. The effect was immediate and profound. Hegemony crew members throughout the fleet suddenly experienced a moment of perfect clarity, understanding the true nature of cosmic evolution and their place within it. They saw the Great Convergence not as a threat to be resisted, but as an opportunity for unprecedented growth. "Impossible," Elder Thoth whispered across the link. "How are you maintaining individual consciousness while channeling apex god power?" Previous bridge attempts resulted in complete personality dissolution. "Because humans don't lose themselves in transformation," Ryan explained. "We adapt and grow while remaining fundamentally human. That's what makes us ideal translators between different forms of consciousness." Dr. Webb was monitoring the energy exchange with growing amazement. "Ryan, you're not just communicating with them. You're actually teaching them how to perceive apex god consciousness safely. You're creating a new form of diplomatic contact." The battle that had seemed inevitable moments before was transforming into something unprecedented in galactic history. For the first time since the ancient disasters that shaped hegemony policy, elder races were engaging with apex gods through successful mediation, but Ryan could feel the strain on his enhanced neural pathways. Channeling this much cosmic power was pushing his modifications beyond their designed limits. The Gardener's consciousness pressed against his own, threatening to overwhelm his human identity. "I can't maintain this much longer," he told his companions. "The power required for this level of translation is burning through my neural enhancements." Captain Stone grabbed his arm. "Then stop. You've proven your point. They understand now." "Not enough," Ryan gasped, feeling his consciousness beginning to fracture under the cosmic pressure.
"I need to show them the full scope of what's possible."
"If I don't complete the demonstration, they'll retreat back into fear and isolation." Researcher Prime Click's mandibles clicked urgently. "Human, your brain patterns are becoming unstable. You're approaching the threshold where personality dissolution becomes irreversible." Ryan looked around at his companions, seeing them through perception that now spanned multiple dimensions. They appeared as points of beautiful complexity in the vast web of consciousness that connected all living beings. He could feel their concern, their affection, their very human determination to protect someone they cared about. "This is what the Gardener has been preparing for," Ryan said, his voice now carrying overtones that seemed to come from somewhere beyond normal space. "The moment when bridge beings choose between preserving their individual identity and sacrificing themselves for cosmic understanding." "Ryan, don't," Dr. Nira pleaded. "Your species needs you alive and functional, not martyred for diplomatic progress." But Ryan was already making his choice. Instead of allowing the Gardener's consciousness to overwhelm his own, he began the most difficult task he had ever attempted. He started teaching the cosmic entity how to be more human. Through their connection, Ryan shared his memories of ordinary life, everyday concerns, simple pleasures, and frustrations. He showed the gardener what it meant to worry about paying bills, to enjoy a good meal, to miss old friends, to feel proud of small accomplishments. He demonstrated that consciousness didn't have to be vast and cosmic to be valuable. The effect on the gardener was profound. For the first time in eons, an apex god experienced limited individual perspective. It felt what it was like to be small and mortal and beautifully specific rather than infinite and eternal. Remarkable, the gardener communicated with something approaching wonder. You maintain coherent individuality while interfacing with cosmic consciousness. This suggests possibilities I had not considered. Through Ryan's demonstration, the hegemony fleet was also learning. They watched a human being successfully merge with apex god power while retaining his essential humanity. They saw proof that transcendence didn't require the loss of individual identity. Elder Thoth, Ryan transmitted, his voice now stabilizing as he found balance between human and cosmic consciousness. The choice isn't between order and chaos, between stagnation and destruction. The choice is between evolution with guidance and evolution without it. The great convergence is coming whether we resist it or not. But with bridge beings to help translate between different forms of consciousness, all our species can survive the transition. The response from the hegemony flagship carried new tones of uncertainty and hope. Human Bridge, your demonstration raises possibilities we had not considered in millions of years of conflict. Perhaps there is another way forward. As the immediate crisis passed, Ryan felt his consciousness settling into a new configuration. He was still fundamentally human, but now he was also something more. He had become exactly what the gardener had intended, a bridge between realities capable of helping both sides understand each other without losing their essential nature. But the real test was just beginning. Proving that peaceful coexistence was possible was only the first step toward preparing the galaxy for the Great Convergence. 6 months later, Ryan stood in the observation lounge of the newly constructed diplomatic station, orbiting the Kepler 4471 system. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from dozens of civilizations maintaining peaceful formation around the crystalline planet below. Hegemony dreadnoughts shared space with consortium science vessels, while smaller craft carried representatives from species that had never before communicated directly with either faction. The third wave of bridge candidates arrived this morning, Dr. Nira reported, reviewing data on her scanner. 17 species have now volunteered individuals for enhancement procedures. The success rate continues to exceed our projections. Ryan nodded, still amazed by how quickly things had changed after his demonstration with Elder Thoth. The revelation that Apex God contact could be safely mediated had transformed galactic politics overnight. Fear was giving way to curiosity, and ancient enemies were becoming unlikely allies. How are the volunteers adapting to their modifications? He asked, better than expected. The Centauri candidate, Cora, successfully communicated with a minor apex god yesterday. The Corling volunteer, Drix, has developed the ability to perceive dimensional frequencies that our instruments can't detect. Even more remarkably, each bridge being retains their species' fundamental characteristics while gaining cosmic awareness. Captain Stone entered the lounge carrying a communication device. Ryan, we've got a priority transmission from the Hegemony Council. Elder Thoth wants to speak with you directly. Ryan accepted the device, still getting used to his role as humanity's official ambassador to cosmic entities. The past months had been a constant learning experience as he developed protocols for interspecies communication at levels that transcended normal space-time. Elder Thoth, what can I do for you? The crystalline entity's voice carried new tones of respect and cooperation. Ambassador Walsh, our deep space monitoring stations have detected the approach of what you call the Great Convergence. The cosmic energies that will trigger galaxy-wide evolution are less than 2 years away. Ryan felt a chill despite his enhanced abilities. The gardener had warned him that this moment would come, but he had hoped for more time to prepare.
How widespread will the effects be?
Every star system in the galaxy will experience some level of dimensional shift. Species without bridge beings to guide them through the transition will face chaotic transformation. Some may transcend successfully through chance, but most will either be destroyed or fundamentally altered beyond recognition. Then we need to accelerate the bridge development program. How many species have we successfully contacted so far? Dr. Nira consulted her records. 47 species have active bridge beings. Another 36 are in various stages of the enhancement process. But there are over 800 known civilizations in the galaxy, and who knows how many unknown ones. Captain Stone looked grim. Even if we work around the clock, we can't possibly reach everyone in time. Ryan walked to the observation window and looked down at the crystalline city on the planet below. The gardener maintained constant presence there now, working with teams of scientists and bridge beings to refine the enhancement process. But time was running out faster than anyone had anticipated. There might be another way, Ryan said slowly. The gardener has been cultivating potential bridge beings for eons, planting the genetic foundations in hundreds of species. What if we could activate those dormant capabilities remotely? Remotely how? Ryan turned back to his companions, his expression determined. By using the cosmic communication network that Apex gods employ. If I can establish a connection with multiple Apex gods simultaneously, they could transmit activation signals to their cultivated species across the galaxy. Elder Thoth's voice carried new urgency. Ambassador, such an undertaking would require you to channel power from dozens of cosmic entities. No bridge being has ever attempted coordination on that scale. Then I'll be the first to try. What's the alternative? Let most of the galaxy face the great convergence without guidance? Dr. Nira's scanner detected elevated stress patterns in Ryan's neural activity. Mr. Walsh, the risks are enormous. Channeling that much cosmic energy could completely overwhelm your consciousness. You might lose your human identity entirely. Or I might succeed and save billions of lives. Sometimes the risk is worth taking. Researcher Prime Click had been monitoring long-range communications throughout their conversation. The situation may be more urgent than we realized. Multiple star systems are already showing preliminary signs of dimensional instability. The Great Convergence appears to be accelerating. Ryan made his decision with the same stubborn determination that had carried him through every crisis so far. Contact all available Apex gods and tell them we're implementing the emergency activation protocol. Contact all bridge beings and have them ready to assist with species-wide guidance. And prepare the crystalline city for maximum power transmission. Ryan, Captain Stone said quietly, if you do this and it goes wrong, humanity loses its primary ambassador to cosmic forces. Are you sure this is the right choice? Ryan smiled, and for a moment he looked like the ordinary cargo hauler he had been 6 months earlier. Vera, I've spent half a year learning to balance human nature with cosmic consciousness. If there's one thing that combination has taught me, it's that sometimes you have to risk everything to help others. That's what humans do. Over the next several hours, the diplomatic station became the center of the most ambitious undertaking in galactic history. Bridge beings from dozens of species worked together to coordinate with Apex gods across multiple dimensions. The crystalline city below pulsed with energy patterns that reached beyond normal spacetime. Ryan stood at the center of it all. His consciousness expanded to interface with cosmic entities scattered throughout the galaxy. Through the vast network of Apex god communication, he could perceive civilizations he had never heard of, species that existed in forms of matter that had no names, and evolutionary paths that spanned impossible timescales. Initiating activation sequence, he announced, his voice now carrying harmonics from multiple dimensions. All bridge beings, prepare to guide your species through initial enhancement. The power that flowed through Ryan was unlike anything he had experienced before. It wasn't the focused energy of a single Apex god, but the combined consciousness of entities that existed beyond normal reality. For a terrifying moment, he felt his human identity beginning to dissolve in the cosmic vastness. But then he remembered Dr. Nira's concern for his well-being, Captain Stone's loyal friendship, the ordinary conversations he had shared with his research team. He held on to those fundamentally human connections, using them as anchors to maintain his individuality, while channeling unimaginable power. Across the galaxy, the results were immediate and dramatic. Species that had shown potential for cosmic awareness suddenly found dormant genetic sequences activating. Individuals who had never imagined communicating beyond their own worlds began to perceive dimensional frequencies that revealed the true scope of galactic civilization. It's working, Dr. Nira reported, her voice filled with amazement. We're receiving confirmation signals from star systems across the galaxy. Hundreds of species are successfully developing bridge capabilities. But the effort was taking its toll on Ryan. His enhanced neural pathways were burning out under the massive power load, and his consciousness was fragmenting across multiple dimensional frequencies. Only his stubborn human determination kept him focused on the task. "How many more species need activation?" he asked, his voice now barely recognizable as human. "Approximately 200 systems still show no response," Click reported. "But Ambassador, your neural patterns are approaching critical instability. You cannot maintain this level of power much longer." Ryan felt his connection to his human companions growing weaker as cosmic consciousness threatened to overwhelm his individual identity. But he also felt the presence of hundreds of newly awakened bridge beings across the galaxy, each one maintaining their species' essential nature, while gaining the ability to guide others through transcendence. "The Great Convergence has begun," Elder Thoth announced urgently. "Dimensional energies are now affecting every star system in the galaxy. All species must begin their evolutionary transition immediately." This was the moment the gardener had been preparing for across eons of cultivation. The cosmic event that would either elevate galactic civilization to unprecedented heights or destroy it in chaotic transformation. And at the center of it all, a human cargo hauler was serving as the bridge between order and transcendence. Ryan made one final effort, drawing on reserves of strength he hadn't known he possessed. Through the cosmic network, he sent out a message that reached every conscious being in the galaxy. "This is Ambassador Ryan Walsh of humanity, speaking for the bridge beings of all species. The Great Convergence is upon us, but you are not alone. Follow the guidance of your bridge beings. Trust in your essential nature. Change and grow, but never forget who you are. Evolution doesn't mean losing yourself. It means becoming more than you ever imagined possible." The message rippled across dimensional frequencies, carrying not just words but understanding, hope, and the fundamental human belief that any challenge could be overcome through cooperation and determination. As the cosmic energies of the Great Convergence washed over the galaxy, Ryan felt his consciousness finally stabilizing in its new configuration. He was still human, still recognizably himself, but now he existed as something more. He had become exactly what the gardener had envisioned, a permanent bridge between realities, capable of helping others navigate the space between individual identity and cosmic transcendence. Months later, when the initial phase of the Great Convergence was complete, Ryan returned to Trade Station Omega-7. The same security checkpoint where everything had begun now displayed a new message when he placed his arm on the scanner. "Ambassador Walsh, Ryan Species Human Bridge, Clearance Cosmic Diplomatic Authority. Welcome back." The scanner operator, a young Centauri who had been born after the convergence, looked up at him with curiosity rather than fear. "Ambassador, how does it feel to be the being who saved galactic civilization?" Ryan smiled, and his answer carried the simple wisdom that had made humanity ideal bridge builders. "It feels like doing what anyone would do when people need help. Nothing special about that." But as he walked through the station, Ryan could see the profound changes his efforts had wrought. Species that had never communicated before were now working together on projects that spanned multiple dimensions. Former enemies had become allies in exploring the new realities opened by successful transcendence. And everywhere, bridge beings helped others navigate the balance between growth and identity. Humanity had found its place in the cosmic order not through conquest or superiority, but through the simple willingness to help others while remaining fundamentally human. In a galaxy full of wonders beyond imagination, that stubborn ordinariness had proven to be the most extraordinary gift of all.